All right, so this is May 2019, question number 2. And question number 2A says simplify completely. And we have I, 3p squared multiplied by 4p to the fifth power. So this is how I would work this. I would say that this is 3 times 4 multiplied by p squared multiplied by p to the fifth power. 3 4s are 12. And this is going to be p to the second plus what? 5. And of course, this is from a law of indices that says if you're multiplying and the base is the same, you add the indices. If you're multiplying and the base is the same, you add the indices. So this would be equal to 12 p to the 7. I'm guessing that everybody got this correct. Or everybody should have gotten that correct. All right, let's go down to AII. Now, AII says 3x over 4y cubed divide by 21x squared over 20y squared. Now, of course, you're going to write back the first fraction, which is 3x over 4y cubed. How do we divide? Sorry, that should be cube, not square. How do we divide by a fraction? We change the division sign to multiplication and invert. So we have 20y squared divided by 21x squared. So now let's cancel. 3 into 21 goes 7 times. 4 into 20 goes 5 times. Y squared goes into y cubed y times. And x goes into x squared x times. So what we have at the top, the only thing that remains at the top is 5. And at the bottom, we have 7xy. So at the bottom, we have y multiplied by 7 multiplied by x, which is 7xy. So the answer here is 5 over 7xy. All right, let's move on. All right, this I'm guessing would give more people trouble. Not that there's anything particularly difficult about it. It's just that you probably would have not worked a lot of questions like this before. Do we have the knowledge to do it? Yes. Will you be able to do it? I'm not so sure. The first thing I would do, so let me just rewrite this. We have 3 over 7x minus 1 plus 1 over x, and this is equal to 0. So the first thing I would do is I would put this in bracket. Now, this is an equation question with fraction. And the first thing we need to do is we need to get rid of the fraction. Now, one way to do that is to find the LCM, use the LCM, and then discard the LCM. All right? So I'm going to find the LCM. The LCM is x into 7x minus 1. So I found the LCM. This is the equivalent of, so somebody saying 3 over a plus 1 over b. This is the equivalent situation. And the LCM would have been what? AB. It's the equivalent situation. It's just that it's not A and it's not B. It's x minus what? 1. I put that in bracket so they can treat it as one number. And the other part is 1 over x. So I'm going to erase the equivalent situation. Now, then I'm going to say, what is x, 7x minus 1 into this? 7x minus 1 into all of this. The 7x minus 1 cancels the 7x minus 1, leaving x. And the 3 times x is 3x plus x into all of this. The x cancel the x, leave 7x minus 1. So it is 1 times 7x minus 1 is equal to 0. If you want, you could say 1 into this is 1 into all of that is x into 7x minus 1. But when you multiply anything by 0, you're going to get 0. So I found the LCM. I use the LCM. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to discard the LCM. Now, discarding the LCM means going forward. I'm going to go forward without the LCM. So now I have 3x plus 7x minus 1 is equal to 0. So now it is a simple equation. 3x plus 7x is 10x. So 10x is equal to 1. Negative 1 goes over and become positive. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to divide both sides by 10. And so x is equal to 1 over 10. X is equal to 1 over 10. So you started out with an equation with fractions. The first thing you have to do is to get rid of the fractions. And one way to do that is to find the LCM, use the LCM, and then discard the LCM. Discarding the LCM means going forward. You would go forward without the LCM. Then after that, you end up with a simple equation. And all you had to do was to solve the simple equation to get x is equal to 1 over 10. All right, let's move on. All right, this is the C, which is the last part of the question. It says, when a number x is multiplied by 2, the result is squared to give a new number y. Express y in terms of x. So here's what we got y. The number x is multiplied by 2. The number x is multiplied by 2. So I have x is multiplied by 2, and the result is squared. So the result is squared to give a new number y. So this is how we get y. You start out with x, you multiply x by 2, then the result is squared to give a new number y. So y would be equal to 2x all squared, and y would be equal to 2x squared means 2x multiplied by 2x, and that would be equal to 4x squared. 2 2's, 4, and x times x is x squared. Next, we're asked to determine the two values of x that satisfy the equation y is equal to x and the equation derived in CI. All right, so we have two equations. We have y is equal to x, and we have y is equal to 4x squared. All right, and we have to determine the two values of x. Now, it's not as difficult as it seems. Here we're told that y is equal to x and y is equal to 4x squared. So let's assume that y is the same thing. It means therefore that what? 4x squared would be equal to x. You have two equations. One is y is equal to x. The other one is what? Y is equal to what? 4x squared. The two y's are equal, therefore 4x squared is equal to y. This is a simple quadratic equation. Let's get one, and the first step in solving a quadratic equation is to ensure that one side of the equation is equal to 0. So I'm going to have 4x squared minus x is equal to 0. Remember, we solved one like this in the previous question. X is common, so I'm going to factor out x. X into 4x squared is 4x. minus x into x is 1, and this is equal to 0. Now, if I'm multiplying two things and I'm getting 0, it is either the first one is equal to 0, so it's either x that is equal to 0, or the second number, which is 4x minus 1, that is equal to 0. So therefore, x is equal to 0, or 4x is equal to positive 1, divide both sides by 4, and we get x is equal to 0, or x is equal to a quarter. So the two values of x that satisfies the two equations are x is equal to 0 and x is equal to 1/4. All right, so this is the end of this question. Let's get ready for the third question.